Welcome to the Online Digital Marketing Podcast. We'll be discussing marketing strategies, trends, and tips that will help your business succeed in the digital age. Every episode, we'll be interviewing industry professionals and providing valuable insights on how to leverage digital tools for maximum engagement and ROI. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest trends in online marketing.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today we have a special guest I'm excited to talk about because I am a big user of AI, artificial intelligence, and I know there are, a lot of great things about AI, but there's also some things that we forget as human beings, thinking and giving the power over to the robots to do all our work. And so I think we're going to have an exciting call. Just a couple of quick things. If you're listening to it live, please mute yourselves, save all your questions till after the call. If you're listening to our recording in our podcast series, please get rid of all your distractions and pay close attention, because I think what we're going to hear today, especially, is if you're using AI, you're going to get some great information to make the AI even more efficient in the uses of best practices. Okay. So, with that, let me introduce to you Madeleine Lambert. She is the Director of Marketing and Sales at Originality.ai. It's a leading AI content detection platform. She has a background in SEO and content creation. She previously founded, scaled, and then successfully exited a content marketing agency in 2022. I want to welcome you, Madeleine. How are you today?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm great. How are you?
We're doing fantastic. We finally have some beautiful weather here in the state of New Jersey. Maybe even get towards 80 degrees. And as long as it's over 68 degrees, I'll get out there and start doing some golfing. So
Awesome.
that's great. So let me do this, Madeline. I want to jump in because I know we have a number of questions that the audience is going to be interested in. But to kick off today's training and podcast, what is Originality.ai and what specific problem are you solving?
Yeah. So, Originality AI is basically a software. We built it using AI, so it's an AI that detects AI. So, we're used by content publishers and SEO agencies and various people who create content for the web. And the major problems that we're solving are detecting AI generated content and identifying plagiarism. And this is, quite important, obviously, these days as AI writing tools become very widespread, and it's very important for businesses and agencies to make sure they know what they're publishing.
Yeah, that's a big problem. Too many people, at least in our experience, what we found is a lot of our colleagues are using AI and they take it verbatim, you know,
Right.
and then they wonder why their emails, if they're using it for that, of course, why it is not getting the results. Then maybe they asked it to do to write headlines or subject line, subject lines, and then open rates are not, anywhere better than when they wrote them themselves. And all of these are issues, obviously, the negative side of AI. Okay, so let me go forward and ask you. I kind of just, butted the toast here, but why is detecting AI generated content important, especially right now in today's market?
Right. Well, we all know that it's flooding the internet at pretty quick rates here. Um, and let's not get it wrong. Like AI can be super powerful and super helpful. I'm sure that everyone has used it in a pretty helpful way. But on the flip side, it's often used irresponsibly and lazily, and that can often lead to low quality, inaccurate, or misleading content being published. And that the level of risk varies based on what industries are publishing it, right? So I
Mhm.
think we can all agree that if you purchase and read a fiction book that has a fun, fluffy sort of storyline and it's entertaining, it's not hurting anyone. If it's entertaining, then it's great, whatever, who cares if it was done by AI. But when it gets dangerous is when it has like real world implications. So industries like the health industry or education industry or science, that's when it can kind of get trickier and a little bit more dangerous. And I actually have a perfect example. Like I had um, a reporter from The Guardian contact me a little while ago. And they said, "Hey, I'm an investigative journalist, and I've got this book that I suspect might be AI generated, and it's being sold on Amazon right now. And it's a mushroom foraging cookbook. And I think that we can all agree that if we're cooking with like potentially dangerous mushrooms, we want to make sure that it was overseen by an actual, scientist or mycologist or somebody who has experience so that you like aren't going to get poisoned by a mushroom because a robot made a mistake. And I think we can all agree that that is a dangerous use case.
Yes, yes. Um, that's really interesting because a lot of people don't notice that, at least in my experience, that when they do AI, they have on the very bottom in small, lighter print, that AI or LLM uh, isn't always perfect, that you want to check it for, discrepancies or errors. And, they just grab whatever was written, they use it, whether it's a blog post, an ebook, and they forget what the real thing is, of what they're trying to do. They just let AI rule the world, so to speak. So, yeah, I know, excuse me, in speaking with other agency owners who are using AI, we know that there's other detection or plagiarism tools. And so I think for the audience sake, how is Originality AI different from these?
Right. So I think that we can I'm sure that most people have heard of Copyscape, which is kind of the industry standard for plagiarism detection. And so when we set out to build Originality, we were actually, our goal was to just kind of replace Copyscape. We weren't even really thinking about AI. It was more of a opportunity that came up during our build. Um, and so we had our frustrations in the content marketing agency that we ran using Copyscape. It wasn't like team friendly. It was pretty outdated. Like the tech around it was just old and outdated. So we were figuring out a way to build like a modern plagiarism detection tool that was built off the back of an AI tool. So our whole system is completely different because we actually use AI and we've trained AI to detect both AI and plagiarism. So instead of like having a massive database of um, of content that we continuously like scan, we have basically trained our own AI to scan like the indexed pages on Google to see if there's like a plagiarism match. So we're not going to be able to detect plagiarism from uh, you know years and years ago if it's not indexed on the internet anymore. But we know that most people that are plagiarizing from the internet are plagiarizing from recent sources. So that's how we built it. And then when it comes to AI detection, we also built our own like model to detect that. So we fed it like millions and millions and millions of data sets of verified human written content. And then we did the same thing with verified AI generated outputs, and then trained it to sort of pick up on the subtle differences between the two. And so that's how we came up with originality. And then it was actually built off the back of some of the old school like the Jasper AIs, like the old school paid LLMs and the original sort of GPTs, and then ChatGPT happened to launch basically the week after we launched, so it was very timely and ended up being super accurate on ChatGPT output.
Very, I find that very interesting. Obviously, originality is original because it's using AI to detect AI.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. So basically, um, as you know, in our discussions prior to our podcast today, we talked about originality, and I think you, as a quote, you called it the insurance policy for your content.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I guess when we call it an insurance policy, we mean that originality gives publishers sort of that peace of mind before they publish. So whether you're like managing a blog or guest posts or outsourcing a bunch of content to freelancers for your business, there's always going to be that risk that somebody's using AI to basically copy and paste what they're submitting to you, right? So our tool essentially acts as the final checkpoint to ensure that everything you're publishing meets your standards and before it goes live, and protects your brand and your traffic and your authority. And I think you'd feel pretty shitty if you paid a writer like uh, I don't know what the going rate is for an article these days, but if you paid an article or a writer like $100 for an article, and then you found out that it was just a direct copy and paste from ChatGPT, you'd feel pretty shitty about that. That wouldn't seem like a fair or transparent transaction. And so it's an insurance policy for your investment, but also for whatever platform you're publishing on.
Very good. So basically, looking at where AI is, where it's going, who are the primary users of your platform, Originality.ai, and what kind of results would you say they're seeing?
Yeah, so our primary users are definitely web publishers, SEO agencies, marketing teams, and then we also know we haven't built this for education, but we know that we have like thousands of education professionals using our tool. Um, and so yeah, basically many of them have managed like large volumes of content. And so what they're seeing is a massive reduction in low quality submissions because the people that they're outsourcing to know that they use originality and know that they'll get busted if they use AI. So it kind of trickles down, creates more accountability across their teams, and fewer risks at the end of the day by search engines and getting hit by nasty updates that target AI written spam.
Okay, so they, I guess the key of our whole, excuse me again, the key to our conversation today is that AI is a great tool, but we're dehumanizing our content basically. We're
Correct. Yeah.
letting it find things, sometimes facts, figures that are not accurate. I know that in my training using AI, I've been taught to ask the AI to look over any of its statistics that it found and make sure and verify that they are accurate.
Right.
Okay. So that's kind of like your platform using an AI to go to an AI and say, hey guys, I don't know where you made this up, but obviously this is not fact, you know. So that's great. So again, moving forward. Madeline, what's your stance, the company stance, on the ethical use of AI in content creation?
Right. So I think that this is a great question. I love this one because I do think that there is a common misconception about originality that we're like the AI police and that we're like super anti-AI. But we're not. Like we built an AI to detect AI. Like we love AI. We're not anti-AI. We're pro transparency and pro quality content. So AI can absolutely support great content. We've used it in a number of ways in our content marketing strategy, and it's been great. But it should not replace human expertise, especially in very sensitive industries that can, trickle down and cause great societal harm. So we believe that the ethical use of AI involves disclosure when it's being used, fact checking. We know that AI produces what we call AI hallucinations, which means basically just like very, very confident sounding bullshit. Um, we we know that that happens all the time. So yeah, fact checking and then editorial oversight. Don't just like copy and paste something and hit publish. It's going to end badly for you, and we've seen it over and over and over again. So yeah, our goal obviously is not to punish AI use. It's to give users transparency and visibility so that they can make informed decisions about how it's used, when it's used, and where it's used. And I think that's the crucial piece to it.
You know, Maddie, you brought up something that really tickles me a little bit when you use the word punishment. And, as AI started to become a big thing over the last, specifically a year ago, we learned quickly how Google and Gemini, while they were working on their project, was saying that as a search engine, they're going to penalize the people who use AI, and they're going to flag it, they're going to stop it, and until of course they built their AI platform, and then everything's all right as long as you're using theirs.
Right.
So how can people who are writing content, publishers, blog posters, people who are building websites, and this has become a big issue in our industry here. It's digital marketers who do websites, and we go out to the AI and we ask it to, build us specific, uh, parts of the website that need content. So how can we protect them ourselves from the search engines? And is it true, I guess, that they're still penalizing AI content?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Google is like the most annoying company in the entire world. Like are they are so like not transparent with how they're dealing with things, which is like extremely frustrating for people who are publishing content online because SEO has always been like a moving target, but it's like especially a moving target now. When they say they care about helpful content and they don't care that if AI is used, but then they roll out like insane updates that end up like de-indexing thousands and thousands of sites that have good content. So it's like it's hard to know what they want. It feels like a moving target. Um, and I think that Google is also in a bit of a tough position because the more that they rank content that has been AI generated, the more obsolete the search engine actually becomes. Because if people can get the same answer, just like typing their question into a large language model, and get the same answer that they're getting on Google, why would they use Google? Right. And so I think that they're kind of facing a bit of an existential threat by these LLMs. Uh, but they also like know that they need to continue to rank people's content. So I think that they are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And it's having a negative impact on SEOs all over the place. So Um, long-winded answer, but I think publishers can protect themselves by combining like the smart use of AI with strong human editing and using tools like Originality to kind of help with that process.
Okay, so Maddie, if I kind of dissect what you were just sharing with us, I have this feeling that basically the search engines, AI, and the battle, you kind of are pointing me in a direction that I don't know if Google will be hurt, badly as a search engine because a lot of people use Google for, restaurants near me, dry cleaners near me, doctors. So I don't think the AI is affected there. Where I think it's going to be affected is where we ask for how-tos.
Right.
Am I right?
And we're all, yeah.
So more or less the AI, whether it's ChatGPT, and there's always going to be a free edition versus a paid edition. And if you're doing it for searching reasons, for how-tos, or where can I find something, then they're going to kind of be replacing, from my view anyway, things like YouTube is going to be, which is owned by Google, of course, is going to affect them more than it is going to be, um, Google itself. But anyway, that's just my take on that. Okay, so let's get into this. What trends are you seeing in AI generated content across the web?
Ooh, what trends are we seeing? We are seeing uh so a few years back, affiliate marketing was like all the rage. People were making Amazon affiliates were sort of dominating the web in terms of content. Um, and so what we've seen is that affiliate marketing is becoming pretty obsolete, which is crazy because, 10 years ago, not even 10 years ago, like 6, 7 years ago, it was like all the rage. Everyone was doing it. Um, we're seeing, uh, what else are we seeing? We're seeing a ton of like reviews, like AI generated fake reviews um, being written. So we have like a whole digital PR strategy that basically exposes whole industries on their use of AI generated content in reviews. And it's becoming super problematic for platforms like e-commerce platforms and even education platforms. People selling courses, like basically people selling anything online. The review ecosystem has been like seriously disrupted by AI. And we've seen an exponential growth in the amount of fake reviews that are being published. So that's problematic for sure. Um,
Well, I want to interrupt you here because I
yeah.
use a platform that actually it's along the lines of what you're talking about reviews, but it doesn't write a review. It writes a response to
Oh,
the review.
interesting.
Okay. So you see that as something that's okay.
I don't know. Like so my side hustle is I'm a bakery owner. And I if people are like taking the time to leave me my bakery a review, um, I am it, I feel inclined to personally respond to it. And if I take the time to leave somebody a review on their business, I would feel like it was quite disingenuous if I were getting like an AI generated response, right? I don't know. There's something just like super unhuman about it. And disjointed, and especially in like a customer service oriented um world, I think that that's problematic. Do you?
Well, I can only talk from my experience with my AI that's
Right.
generating a response, and it, it's exceptionally. I I want to say, and I didn't train. I could have trained it and showed some of the responses my team when we were doing them manually for our clients. 'Cause
Mhm.
what we used to do back when is we'd say to the client, okay, I need 20 to 25 responses to these type of reviews. One star where the person said, like a restaurant, I'm going to use that because that was my original niche 17 years ago. And I
Mhm.
would get in there and say, we went there and there was nobody there, and we waited 5 minutes before someone sat us and brought us a menu, another 10 minutes. And then when they brought out the food was cold. And our response would be, you know, Maddie, we're sorry that you had this experience. We definitely are going to be speaking to our staff about it to make sure this doesn't happen in the future. And we hope you'll give us another opportunity to be your Italian restaurant or your pizzeria or your Mexican taco place, whatever it was that we were writing it for. Okay. And more or less, I found, at least the platform I'm on, they kind of respond to that. Thank you for taking the time to write the review if it was a negative review, and they will tell us, or tell the person who wrote, thank you for taking the time. Your review is important to us. It points out not only our strengths, but many times it helps us improve our weaknesses. So it's kind of pretty much human that way. But I have seen is some people using AI, as you point out, that are writing the reviews. They go in there and writing the review using AI.
Yeah.
It says,
Yeah,
write a 1-star review on this restaurant for the following reasons, and you can identify them pretty quickly.
for sure.
So that's a problem. But you know, the trends that we see is more and more as AI is maturing, as the LLM is getting smarter, okay, and using everything that's available out on the web. What we're noticing as a trend is that more and more people that are using it are using it at 60% of its effectiveness because they don't take that other 40% to humanize it. Again, I keep using humanize it for lack of a better term. And and that's because I think most users don't know. The reason they went to AI is because they don't know what to write.
Right.
So they
Right.
go to AI, and I know that, prior as a content writer yourself, you know how you could sit and stare at the screen and see nothing but white,
For
and say,
sure. For
what
sure.
should I write? What should I write? What should I write? So yeah, and now what cracks me up is what happened to the days of photography when you picked up a camera. I remember, I mean, I was a professional photographer many years ago. Film, you had to get it, developed, you had to get it printed, you had to make the enlargements. Today, you ask AI and you see all these images and you can identify that they're not realistic.
Yeah.
And you say, design a picture of my Chinese restaurant serving a table of 8, and celebrating an anniversary or something. And you get this, and rather than having a real live picture
Yeah.
of the people that did come in and joined you. So I find that quite interesting that we're doing it. I know we didn't discuss this before our call, but I'd be curious are there any AI platforms that you've been working with specifically that are, for lack again of a better term, that are more usable, more user-friendly, more accurate?
Yeah. And do you mean like LLM specifically?
Yes, specifically.
Yeah, so like we love the like upgraded version of ChatGPT 4, like it or GPT 4. Um we think it's great, and but like again, we so that's kind of what we use internally. But again, like we don't publish anything without making sure that it like meets our editorial standards. And so I think that yeah, you just need to be really, really clear if you're leveraging an AI, which you should be. it would be silly not to. If you're leveraging AI, make sure you're using it responsibly and make sure that it's still up to your editorial standards and that your editorial standards don't slide. And that's kind of how you protect yourself and make sure that you're using it safely and ethically.
Fantastic. Maddie, before we end today's podcast, I know that several listeners uh, probably are going to want to know more about you, and perhaps get into a conversation with you to learn how you can help them.
Yeah.
So, what's the best way for them to learn about originality? Should they go to the website originality.ai? Or should they email you?
Yeah,
How's the best way for them to reach you?
so best way would be to go to our website, and we have like a phenomenal website. I'm like responsible for the content, so I'm like tooting my own horn here. It is like we create phenomenal content. And so any question that you have in this industry can absolutely be answered on our website. But then we have like a 24-hour support team that is always happy to jump on with you and chat through anything you need. And then we have like a pretty awesome LinkedIn page that we share a bunch of our studies, a bunch of our resources on almost a daily basis. So we're on there a lot. If you want to hop on LinkedIn, you can connect with us there.
Very good, very good. And if they wanted to reach out to you specifically, is there an email
Yep.
address they can drop you a line to?
Yep. So Maddie at Originality.ai is my email address. And yeah, they're more than welcome to reach out to me there as well.
That'd be fantastic, Maddie. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. I'm going to ask you to stay on the line with us.
Sure.
As I'm going to go ahead and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this recording and I will go ahead and move forward at this point. Just give me a second here and we'll do this. Whoops. Wonderful.
Ready to take your online business to the next level? Subscribe to our digital marketing podcast and then join our Accountability for Success Mastermind. With expert advice from industry leaders, you'll gain knowledge and insights that will help you succeed in today's digital marketing world. From social media strategies to search engine optimization, we have all the tools you need. Learn from successful entrepreneurs and take control of your online success. Join the Accountability for Success Mastermind now at bit.ly/AFSM podcast.